The setting was Santa Ana, California, January 4th, 1996. About 3 a.m. in the morning, a 22-year-old young woman, Jade Benning, made a frantic call to 911. Jade told authorities she was sleeping and heard a lot of commotion. She got up to see that her boyfriend, Christopher Hervey, also 22 years old, was struggling to fight off an intruder. According to Jade, a young white woman, it was a black man who broke into their house, attempting to steal from the couple in the middle of the night while they both slept in the bed. Her boyfriend Christopher found him first, and when she woke up and saw what was going on, she tried to help fight off the man, but he ended up slashing her hand. Somehow Jade scared him away. He ran off in the middle of the night. No trace or evidence, but he injured Christopher really bad, who had cuts in his upper torso. Christopher was rushed to the hospital, where he passed away from his injuries, and he was only 22 years old. Detectives spoke with a neighbor who said they heard a lot of arguing and noises coming from Jade and Christopher's home. It was going on for at least 15 minutes. Police arrived on the scene on North Broadway Street, and by the time they showed up, the suspect had already escaped. And without any other evidence, it didn't take long for the case to grow cold. Jade was devastated. She lost her boyfriend, had to go through this traumatic experience. Can you imagine an intruder coming in the middle of the night? You witness them taking your loved one out, and then they just run off? You don't know who they are, where they came from, who sent them. So now Jade, she's sad, lonely, depressed, suffering mentally, and not only because of what she saw, but also because there was no justice. Fast forward to 2022, 26 long years later. And now Christopher's family, they're finally getting justice. Police now have the person they believe to be responsible behind bars. And you wouldn't believe where they found him. It was over 1,300 miles away in Austin, Texas. And it's not that strange, you know? Thousands of people relocate from California to Texas every month. In Austin, Texas, it's a hot spot. But what if the suspect wasn't a he and it was a she? Not from any sort of transformation. And this woman, she was very close to Christopher. So close, the suspect is Jade Benning. Take a second to make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Click the notification bell for all updates. If you're from Cali, Nevada, or Texas, let me know below in the comments. I definitely want to hear from you. In 1996, Jade was trying her best to heal and move on from the situation that happened with her boyfriend Christopher. She moved around California, Arleta, Santa Ana, Huntington Beach, before leaving the state altogether in 2001 at the age of 27 years old. Jade relocated to Las Vegas, and by that time it had been 5 years since Christopher passed away. She needed a new city, a new state, a new outlook on life, and wanted to leave her past behind her. Eventually, she was tired of Las Vegas and wanted a new beginning. This time, she had her eyes on Texas, so Jade picked up and moved down south to Austin, Texas. She eventually purchased a home in Austin, and she had a small vintage clothing business. A lot of her items sold on Etsy. Jade loved America, leather, and rock and roll. And that's what she highlighted on her shop, and she often used President Trump's name to promote discounts. In January 2020, around the 24th anniversary of Christopher's passing, Santa Ana police received some information that turned the case from ice cold to blazing. It was an anonymous letter telling them that Jade lied. She lied about everything that she told them about what happened that night, January 4th, 1996. According to that letter, it was Jade herself who slashed her ex, and the black man that she told the authorities about, well, he was just a part of her imagination. Detectives reopened the case and went to work. They put together all their evidence, and then they paid a visit to Miss Jade that was 26 years overdue.
Tonight we begin with a cold case out of California. 26 years after her boyfriend was found stabbed to death, 48-year-old Jade Benning has been arrested in connection, and it happened right here in Austin. CBS Austin's Lindsay Regis joins us live tonight. Lindsay, you spoke with the U.S. Marshal Service tonight who made that arrest.
Yeah, well, we found out this is where the arrest happened, near Benning's home right behind me. She was arrested on May 3rd during a traffic stop.
I believe it had gone cold for so long. I didn't feel like she'd probably have any concern to think that she was the individual wanted for this homicide.
U.S. Marshals arrested 48-year-old Jade Benning last Tuesday for the murder of Christopher Hervey, who was stabbed to death at age 22 in his California apartment. At the time, Benning told Santa Ana police a black man forced his way into the home and stabbed Hervey. Though detectives followed up on leads, the case went cold until an anonymous letter was sent to the Santa Ana Police Department 2 years ago, implicating Benning's involvement with the murder. The investigation into Benning also turned up forensic evidence linking her to the crime.
The backstory to where the Lone Star Fugitive Task Force got involved was back probably about 2 years ago. Our task force officers there in California reached out to our task force here because they knew that we had ties with the Austin Police Department because we have task force officers from the Austin Police Department.
Establishing that communication became key to closing the investigation as far as obtaining the warrant.
What we know is that we had a warrant for a murder, and our job was to go execute that warrant here in Austin.
Deputy U.S. Marshal Brandon Fila says members of the Lone Star Fugitive Task Force conducted surveillance before making contact with Benning.
During surveillance, we were able to identify a female that fit the physical description of Jade Benning. Followed that vehicle for quite some time. It went into a school parking lot. We didn't feel that that was probably the best time to facilitate an arrest. So we continued surveillance to where we followed her away from that school, safest place possible, and effected that arrest on a traffic stop where she was arrested without incident.
From there, she was handed over to the Santa Ana detectives on scene.
So it's been 26 years since the death of Christopher. What do you have to say to his family who, wants closure?
Yeah, I believe this is the beginning of justice for those victims.
A bond hearing has not been set. Now, we reached out to her lawyer for comment, but have yet to hear back. Reporting live, Lindsay Regis, CBS Austin News.
Karens back in those days can make up any story about a black man. Just like Jade, she was able to stay out of jail for 26 years. She allegedly committed this crime at 22 years old, and now she's 48 years old. Authorities are not releasing any details in this case. They want a W. They want to hold Jade accountable by convicting her. So all the evidence they have, they won't be disclosing it to the media. Jade is a Karen and a Cruella all at the same time. She took her boyfriend out and then blamed it on an imaginary black man. The sad thing is that they believed her story and they didn't investigate further to get down to the bottom of it. She really should have been investigated then. But this Cruella was able to move around 3 states for 26 years as if nothing ever happened. Sending my condolences to Christopher's family. 26 years, that's a very long time. Not sure if his parents are still alive and if they're able to see this lying hyena get locked up. But here's another example of how women can skate away from accountability. This story reminds me of Miss Courtney Taylor, the one who slashed up her Nigerian boyfriend in Miami. And by the way, at the time of this recording, Courtney is still walking around free on the street. For the sake of Christian Toby's family and the general public's safety, I hope it doesn't take 26 years to put that wild animal away either. But let's go ahead and get the conversation started below in the comments. These toxic women, they always have the same defense when they're caught up like this. What do you think Jade's excuse will be? Remember to support this channel. The links to Cash App and PayPal are below. Smash that subscribe button and don't forget to like and share.